third graders, it's Mrs. Graham. This is grade 3 reading, week 4, lesson 8, compare and contrast statements. So what you'll need for today's lesson is your lesson 8 paper with the Venn diagram on the back and a pencil. Today's target is, today I want to teach you that to develop expertise on a topic, nonfiction readers go from learning about specific topics to learning about a field of study. We will begin by reviewing facts about one animal, then compare it to a different animal to learn more about relationships. Last, we will write comparing and contrasting statements about the animals. This will help you expand your knowledge from one specific topic to learn more about a larger field of study. Remember last week when we learned about comparing and contrasting? To compare is to find the similarities between two related things. To contrast is to find the difference between two related things. Watch me as I model for you how to do this. So let's think about learning about one animal. For example, a penguin. And then compare it and contrast it to frogs and toads. To learn more about the animal kingdom, last we will write comparing and contrasting statements about these animals. First, I'm going to read from this penguin book. Then I will show some text and read from the frog and toad book. Now I'm going to read from Penguin Homes. Penguins live in the coast of Antarctica, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Chile, Peru, and the Galapagos Islands. All of these places are south of the equator. Penguin homes or habitats differ. Some are cool places where trees and plants grow. Many penguins live in Antarctica, where the land is always covered in ice and snow. Penguins do not live in the Arctic. Penguins spend more than half of their lives in the oceans around their habitats. They enjoy swimming in these oceans because the water is always cool or cold. Now I'm going to read from the Frog and Toad book. Frog and Toad's homes. Frog and toads live almost everywhere in the world, except where it's very cold. They stay in the cool, shady places when they are hot. They sit in the sun when they are cold. Some frog and toads live in holes in the ground. Some live in ponds and lakes. Some live inside flowers or rotting logs. Some even live high up in trees. Now that we've read the information, it's time to think of similarities and differences. Then write comparing and contrasting sentences. Here are some sentence stems we could use. Compare and contrast sentence stems. We could say, frogs and penguins are alike because, or both frogs and penguins are, or penguins and toads are similar because they, and we could also make contrasting statements and say, penguins and frogs have differences too. One difference is, or in contrast to the penguin, the frog has, or on the other hand, the toad has. These are all sentence stems we could use to compare. So readers, now we're going to use our compare and contrast sentence stems and fill them in with some facts. So our first one is, penguins and frogs and toads are alike because they both swim in water. For our second statement, we could say, both penguins and frogs and toads live in water and land. A third statement we could make is penguins and frogs and toads are similar because they both can live in holes in the ground. Did you know that penguins can live in a burrow, which is really just a hole in the ground? Some contrasting statements we could make are, Penguins and frogs and toads have differences too. One difference is penguins live in areas that are very cold and frogs and toads do not. Another contrasting statement we could make is frogs and toads live in many places around the world, in contrast to penguins who only live south of the equator. Our last contrasting statement we might want to make is frogs can live high up in trees. On the other hand, penguins cannot live high up in trees. So these are some examples of contrasting and comparing statements that we can make to broaden our information and our knowledge about one topic to learn about more topics and more of the animal kingdom. So third graders, here's your assignment. You are to read the Venn diagram about porpoises and dolphins and use your compare and contrast sentence stems to write at least 3 sentences explaining how porpoises and dolphins are similar and different. Take a picture of your page with your sentences and send it to your teacher. I can't wait to see what you come up with. If you have any questions, be sure and contact your teacher. We're here to help.